Hi, welcome to Ken's Games Collection and my Nintendo Switch collections video for 2022. I got the Nintendo Switch back in September 2017 for Father's Day. It was a gift from my daughter, so that was really cool and one of the best gifts I got ever, along with the PlayStation 5 in 2021 Christmas time. But let's have a look at this Nintendo Switch collection. Starting off with A Hat in Time. Now, I had a lot of trouble trying to track down that game. It was so hard to find, and it was just like I thought I was never going to find it at a decent price, because I would look on eBay and I would see the game go up to $80, up to $120. So that was very sought after. Now, the Sonic game, that is such an amazing game because it is the old style 2D graphics, and it just is where I think Sonic shines, is in that environment, the 2D environment, not 3D. So that's a lesson learned, I think, for Sega. Bayonetta is really good. I enjoyed that a lot. Now, Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy. Now, that was on the original Xbox, GameCube, and the PlayStation 2. And when it was announced it was getting kind of like a remaster, I was like, oh my god, I have to get that game. And it was so cool to be able to get that. Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. I've got a lot of Pokemon games. I have not really gotten into playing them, and this is one title I haven't played much of neither, but I have to do it. The Mario game by Ubisoft is so cool, and we are getting another game in that series sometime in 2022, I believe. So overall, this is pretty cool what I've got there, along with Songbird is a great game, and a few other ones in there because they're not too bad. Okay, let's talk about Astral Chain, which totally surprised me when it was released on the Nintendo Switch. I didn't know anything about this game, and when I got it, it was like incredible. The anime style in this game is phenomenal. I really love that sort of stuff, but it really showcased just what a developer could do with the Nintendo Switch. It is pretty limited to what it can do. We have to be honest about that. But if a studio that can take something like the Nintendo Switch and apply an incredible game like Astral Chain, it was probably a perfect showcase for the Nintendo Switch. Now I have the Shantae game there. I've got a lot of the games in the Shantae series. It's always fun games by Way Forward. The Mega Drive collection. This is another instant where I had to search high and low to find it at a decent price, because again, it was hard to find, and I think I was looking on eBay and it was like $80, and I'm not going to pay that kind of money for it. I ended up getting it for like $36 from Oz Game Shop, which was really cool. Destiny Connects, the TikTok Traveler, is an RPG, I think aimed mainly at a younger audience to introduce them to JRPGs. I haven't really had a chance to get into that one. I do have Rhyme on the Nintendo Switch. It's not too bad. There was a patch to fix a lot of issues with it. It's really a cool game, but as far as the Nintendo Switch goes, it's not bad for a port, but it is honestly better on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. The Hyrule Warriors, that was such a cool game, and I haven't got the second game in that series. I've been meaning to track it down, but I just haven't done that yet. But one day I hope I will find it, hopefully. You know what really surprised me here was the Star Wars pinball game. I used to love pinball back in the day, going into a milk bar or a fish and chip shop here in Australia, and while you're waiting for your fish and chips, you put in a 20-cent piece and you would play the pinball machine there. So I was really cool with this Star Wars pinball, and just how many different boards there was in this game and challenges. It's probably the best pinball game I've ever played, and it was so much fun, and there's probably better ones out there, but because I do enjoy Star Wars, I thought, okay, I need to get that one. Kirby was really cool. Towards the end, it was starting to get a bit monotonous, a bit repetitious, but overall, it was a okay game. Xenoblade Chronicles is an amazing series that I still struggle to get into, and I think it just comes down to trying to sit down and put a lot of hours into that game, which I don't seem to have right now. The Fate games have always been popular, and I've got the Fate games going right back to the PlayStation 2, I believe. So yeah, it's another series I need to get into. Max was a really cool game as well. Just the concept about the way you have to traverse the levels, and it's been a while since I played that game, but it's like you have to use some sort of pen marker to raise and lower things so you can go through the environment. That's what I remember of it. It's been a while since I played that game. And so some of the games there, Gun Girls, which is a bit of fan service, but overall, I think Minecraft game was one of my favorite because it's not based on the building game. It's more like, it is a Telltale game, which is more like a, not kind of like a point and click adventure, but similar to that sort of vein, along with the Batmans and all that sort of stuff that Telltale games are really renowned for. Now, I just want to showcase here just how cool some of these independent developers and publishers are. Here's Tiny Barbarian, and we have got some really cool little things that came with it, along with this bag, keychain which goes in there, and also, believe it or not, a manual, which in this day and age is very hard to find. And for somebody like myself who goes right back to the Sega Master System, I really enjoy the manuals in games. Now, I was talking about Telltale games before, and Batman is such a cool game. Even on the Nintendo Switch, I did have the second game, I think The Enemy Within, on pre-order on the Nintendo Switch, but unfortunately that game got cancelled. But for what it was, a point-and-click kind of adventure game, it looked really good on the Nintendo Switch. We have 2 copies of Snack World, which one is in Japanese and the other one's English. I didn't know that was going to get released in English, so I got it based on a mate of mine on Instagram post, and I saw it looked really cool. I was able to play it, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Also, we have Dead Cells, one of my favorite games from the last few years, permadeath game. It is such an amazing game and so frustrating, but I put the hours into it and I really enjoyed it. We also have The Flame and the Flood, which is a really cool game. That was, I think, one of the first games released by Super Rare, I think it was, along with the Sheltered series. We do have a few other games there, like the I guess it's the kind of spiritual successor to Castlevania, Bloodstains. I got into that thing on the Kickstarter program, and I was kind of disappointed with what I got, but more so with maybe Shenmue 3. But with that one, the extras came months and months later. I got the game, but all that other stuff that we had for the collector's edition, it was delayed, which was bizarre. You wouldn't think that would happen, but it did. We don't need to talk about Super Mario Odyssey. Brilliant game. Now, I just need to talk about the Japanese version of Snack World, which comes with these little swords. So you would get them in Japan, like little blind boxes, and you just be random items in there, and you would tap it on to your Joy-Con, and you would get those items in the game. For some reason, it was not put into the Western release. So I just wanted to show you that and what different items you can get, as you can see from the brochure there. It's really cool, and it's something, a missed opportunity, I feel, but it's very Japanese, I guess. Okay, let's talk about limited run, because that's what's presented here. I thought I was going to be smart enough to try and get every single limited run game that would be released from the get-go. Reality was I couldn't afford that, but I gave it a crack trying to get the first few titles in the limited run series. And I think it started off with Tumbleweed Park, which was a point-and-click adventure game, very much reminiscent of the Lucasfilm point-and-click adventures, and the characters look like out of the X-Files, Scully and Mulder. We have the infamous Night Trap there that they said that would never appear on the Nintendo system, and Limited Run puts it on the Nintendo system after all those years. But Golf Story is really cool. Dusk is an amazing game. I don't know if these prices of these games are going up over the last few years or not. It probably has. Thumper is a really, really cool indie game as well. Flint Hook, all that sort of stuff is great. It would have been really cool to try and collect every game, and I think there are people out there that would have collected every single limited run game, so my hat's off to you. But Yeah, I gave it a crack. And there's other games you'll see from Limited Run a little bit later on. Okay, some more really cool games here. The Crash Bandicoot racing game. I think it was on Radical Reggie's channel where he preferred it than the Mario Kart series, and that kind of spiked my interest in. You wouldn't think that, but I did pick it up, and you know what? It is damn cool. It is such a fine game, and I can see where he's coming from about that. So yeah, I would say it is, in my view, better than Mario Kart as well. And I don't believe I'm saying that, but after you play it, I think, yeah, I'm hoping that you would come to the same conclusion. Here's another game that was on the original Xbox, Munchie's Odyssey. So this seems to be Munchie's Odyssey. Oddworld Stranger's Wrath was another game that was on the original Xbox. See ports of these on the Nintendo Switch all these years later is incredible but true. The Sonic game's not too bad. To get an Assassin's Creed game on the Nintendo Switch, while it was not going to look as better or as good as the other versions. You know, they gave it a good try, Ubisoft, so I commend them for that. There is a Paw Patrol game there because my daughter is such a huge fan of Paw Patrol and The Binding of Isaac, I think that is. That's a hard game. I really can't get into it at the moment. Now, would you believe I had to search all around the world to pick up a physical copy of River City Girls, and I actually purchased it from South Korea via eBay, and it was the PlayStation 4 version, and they sent me the Nintendo Switch version, so that was perfect. It's a pretty cool game. I missed out on the limited run release. So also I missed out on, I think it was one of the Shantae games as well, and I picked it up from Hong Kong. We have the Streets of Rage 4, which I got from Limited Run, and after I pre-ordered it and just like a month before it was released, it got a retail release worldwide, along with, I think it was Panzer Dragoon Remake. Limited Run, I got it, and then at release, it got retail release worldwide. So sometimes it pays to wait, but really, with Limited Run, strictly limited and all that sort of stuff, super rare, you just can't take that chance, and you have to go for it when it is available. So yeah, I don't regret it that much, honestly, but yeah, it would have been nice to know that these were getting retail releases earlier prior to limited run. We have Mario Kart, which is always good. Now look, I've bagged Legend of Zelda over the years, Breath of the Wild. I just don't like the shrines. I do prefer the dungeons in the Legend of Zelda games, and I guess you could say I'm a Legend of Zelda purist, maybe, I don't know, but the weapons breaking, that was a massive issue for me in Breath of the Wild. I just didn't like it, and it's never really happened before in a Zelda game, and I just didn't like that. And believe, I haven't finished that game, I believe it's taken, I think towards the end of the game is when you get your Hyrule shield and sword. So that's too long to wait to get those iconic items from the game. But let's see what happens with Breath of the Wild 2, and let's hope we don't have weapons breaking every 5 minutes, because it's something that I didn't really enjoy about Breath of the Wild. Technically, it looks really good on the Nintendo Switch, and even on the Wii U it looked really good too, but it's just those weapons breaking and those damn shrines. Now, I must be one of the few people on this planet that actually likes Balan Wonderworld, but not on the Nintendo Switch. It really struggles graphically on the Nintendo Switch compared to other systems, but for a handheld game, something that my daughter really enjoys, so I got it on the Switch for her. Monster Hunter Stories 2 is such a phenomenal game, and I do have the first one on the Nintendo 3DS, and I played a little bit of it. I've got to get back into Monster Hunter Stories 2 because it's really cool, and it's something that I really enjoyed while I was playing it. I did pick up the Sparrow games again, so I can play it in handheld mode, so it's really cool. And there's the DC superheroes, all the female heroes, which I got for my daughter, so I wanted her to play more games where there was strong female leads in it. And for her age, that's perfect, and she understands those characters. Luigi's Mansion 3 is really cool, and that's something my daughter loves as well. K's is really great. The Child of Light and Valiant Heart from Ubisoft, they were released years and years ago, and it's so cool to see both of those games get a physical release on the Nintendo Switch. Valiant Heart is an incredible game based on the stories of these soldiers in World War One, and it was such an emotional game. But the graphics look very cartoony, if that makes it's bizarre. It's not realistic, but the story and the actual letters from these soldiers is what it's based on is it really does get to you. Now, a game that I really had high hopes for was Hero Land. I thought that was going to be like a Paper Mario game. It really wasn't. It kind of looked like it, but the gameplay was very, very limited to the point where the game could almost play itself. There's no exploration in the game. You can't walk around the different environments, which would have been so cool. It's more like playing some sort of board game. So that was a little bit disappointing, but visually it looked really good. Sayonara Hearts is another great indie game, a pop vinyl album type of game. It only goes for like an hour and a half long. It's not a very long game, but it is a good, and it has a good story to it as well. So I don't mind that sort of stuff. Okay, so I think by now when you look at this, you'll be thinking, did these games get physical releases? Unfortunately, at this stage, no, none of these games have got physical releases, but I have somebody here in Australia that does really amazing custom covers, and I thought it'd be really cool to be able to display my digital games in custom covers. So he was able to do some amazing work, Enigma custom cases. I'll leave a link down below just so you can have a look at that sort of stuff. But it is really important to be able to look at the stuff digitally, I feel, as we go further and further into the realm of digital games. I don't know if we're like 10 years away from no physical games. Let's hope we still have physical games with the next generation consoles, but it's highly unlikely that will happen, but we live in hope, I guess. But this way I get to be able to display these games I own in the collection digitally, but in the physical form. What's really interesting is I can put it one of those micro SD cards into the Nintendo Switch and put the game onto that SD card and put the SD card into the game card. So in some form or way, I do have that game in the physical form, which, you know, ultimately is what I, as a collector, enjoy. And again, you'll be looking here and you'll be seeing some of these games. You know which ones are physical releases, but there are some digital releases thrown in there. Now, Paper Mario, a lot of people didn't like that on the Nintendo Switch. I got into the Paper Mario series by chance on the Wii U, but the Wii version, because it was backward compatible to Wii U, and I tried the Wii version and was like, oh my god, this is so cool. So when Paper Mario came out, I was like, yeah, I want to get this, and I really enjoyed it. I don't know why it got so much hate. I'm probably new to the series. I haven't played every single Paper Mario game in the series, but I got a lot of fun out of that game. Now, there is a game called the Grandia Collection, which is based, I believe, on, I think it was the Dreamcast and maybe the PlayStation 1 version. I remember playing the first game on the Dreamcast, and I can't remember if the second one was released on the Dreamcast too, or was sent onto another system. I think by that stage, the Dreamcast had well and truly been discontinued, so I'm not too sure about that one. Mulaka is another game which I think did get a physical release, but over in Europe, and the prices are way too high. That's just a Enigma custom case which I got along with Grim Fandango, one of my favorite LucasArts point and click adventure games of all time. And what's really funny about that was it was the game that sort of killed off the point and click adventures. It was such a fun game with Manny Calavera and all those cast of crazy characters, and to get a remaster all these years later and it gets released on the Nintendo Switch, I just wish it would have got a physical release as well. Okay, one of my favorite games on the Nintendo Switch is Journey to a Savage Planet, which is a third-person shooter game, Metroidvania style as well. You need to do your upgrades to get grapple hooks and progress further into the game. So that was a lot of fun on the Nintendo Switch. I do have, I think it's Dust Divers, which is a very different style of game. A lot of anime in it. The fighting is really cool in it. So I had fun with that. I do have Starlink Battle for Atlas with the Fox McCloud from Star Fox. What a great idea from Ubisoft. It's just a shame that the game didn't really do as well as a lot of people would have liked to have. It is toys to life. That sort of stuff we don't see anymore. But it was a pretty decent game with those characters from Star Fox, and it was way better than the Wii U version of Star Fox. That was the last time we saw a Star Fox game. So yeah, so we have the Wonder Boy eShow, which is a pretty good remake of the Wonder Boy game. Back in the day, that Wonder Boy game on the Mega Drive is at massive prices, going up to $500 nearly. It's something very sought after by collectors. So to have this version, and I believe you can play, I think touch the button and you can play it back in the old 16-bit way, which is really cool as well. Demon X Machina was a game that I didn't think I would enjoy. I'm not really into that genre, but I was pleasantly surprised just how much I enjoyed that game. Lost Sphere, I really haven't had a chance to play that one. Little Jew 2 is another game that I haven't really sat down to play. It looks like a old style Legend of Zelda game, which on paper that sounds really cool. Super Mario 3D World All-Stars was a game that Nintendo decided to have a limited release on. A lot of people out there thought they would buy a couple of copies because one day it'll be worth maybe $1 million. Hasn't happened. I can walk into a store anywhere in Australia at the moment. This is 2022 when I'm recording this, and there is a ton of these games still on the shelves there, selling at full price. So if you're thinking that this game is gonna go up in value anytime soon, I really don't think so. There's a lot of copies out there. I just don't understand Nintendo's reasoning for making that decision, but that's what they did. We also have the Monster Boy game, which is a spiritual successor to the Wonder Boy series. That's not bad. I can see where they went there. It was cool. Skylanders Imaginators, that was the last game in the Skylanders series, which was a shame. I think it was running out of steam, and I think they should have taken a year off. They were doing release every year and all the toys as well, but I feel if they took a year off to have a rethink, I guess, of where they wanted to take the series, it could have continued on, but not as a yearly thing. Ocean Horn, I have to get the second one. I was lucky to get the first one. It is very much in the vein of the Legend of Zelda series, and I think the second one even looks more like Breath of the Wild. So that's something I really need to get. We have Octopath Traveler, which I have this really cool collector's edition for it, so I was really happy about that. Splatoon 2, that was a cool game. I think I liked it more than the first one. There was more you could do as a single player. I'm not really into the online gaming side of thing. Now, Poi is really interesting because it's very reminiscent to a Nintendo 64 kind of platforming game, which I don't mind. Invisible was a game that seemed to be in development for such a long time and finally got a release, and was really cool. I do have the demo version of that on another system. It's really interesting to see how it's just gone from that development phase into the final phase of the game that we got. Yonder, the Cloud Catcher Chronicles, was made in my hometown of Brisbane, so that was really cool to see a local developer releasing something was really cool on the Nintendo Switch. What's really interesting is the Dead or Alive Extreme 3 game didn't get released in the West because of the content, and just the way things were portrayed with these female characters in it. I debated for a long time, should I try and track it down? I did, mainly because it's kind of like a talking point in the gaming community about it, and to have something that's not accessible to a lot of people over in the West. You have to really look on PlayAsia or even in eBay to pick up something like this, and it's really expensive. But I did find it at a cheap price, and I thought this is something different, unique, put it in the collection. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Oh my God, how did that happen? That was a game that was released 10 years ago. All of a sudden, it disappears off of all of the online stores and thought to be lost, and finally we have it in our hands. And this is what the thing is about physical copies. At least that way we can preserve them. If it went digitally and you had it on your hard drive and something happened to your hard drive, it's gone forever, and you pay for this thing. So yeah, it's not right. Doom. I got to talk about Doom. That game ran incredibly well on the Nintendo Switch. I don't know how they did it, but they were able to get that thing running at a pretty decent frame rate. And it's such a cool game, and it showcased again what developers can do with limited hardware. Anything is possible if you spend the time, I guess, trying to work it out, and they did a phenomenal job on it. Super Lucky's Tale, which was a Xbox exclusive. Wow, we see it on the Nintendo Switch, and this version is actually better than the Nintendo Switch version. They tweaked it and improved on it, so that was really cool to get something that was way better on the Nintendo Switch. The Dragon Quest Builder series, I really enjoy. I think it's a lot better than Minecraft. I was never into Minecraft, but because of these characters, and I know the Dragon Quest characters and the games, I just was able to get into this one a lot more than Minecraft, so to speak. The Blob is a really cool game. The Blob 1 and 2, really cool, and that's going back, I think, last gen, but got released on the Nintendo Switch as well, so that was really cool. The Ni no Kuni games, I haven't played this one yet, but it looks like an anime cartoon. And one day I have to sit down and play that one because it looks so incredible. As you can see, I have two Wonder Boy games here. One was from PlayAsia, and the other one got a worldwide release. Because I'm such a fan of that game, Wonder Boy 3: The Dragon's Trap, I got another one just because I wanted to, and I think that the Western release one came with some goodies inside, and I think that was the main reason why I wanted that one. Anox Verge is such a great game, very much in the same vein as Metroid. So it's got that feel to it, and we have Metroid Dread, which I haven't been able to play yet. We have a Paw Patrol game as well, and also Yoshi's Crafted World, which I think is a really cool game. There is the Ninja Savior, which I saw on Happy Console Gamers channel. It looks like something out of, I said at the time, maybe the Super Nintendo, but the more I think about it, it looks like maybe a Nero Geo kind of game, just with the graphics. It's not the Super Nintendo graphics, it's more upgraded to something like Nero Geo, but it's a really cool game. So that's pretty much it. That's my Nintendo Switch collection. I think about 143 games I have on the Nintendo Switch. If you made it this far into the video, thanks very much. Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. And let's revisit my collection maybe in 2 years' time to see how many games I have. So thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye.